It's been known as a lot of names over the year, from the moon cycle to a woman's tide, or the crimson tide, or good old visit from Aunt Flo, or the rag, or one of my personal not favorites, but I just think it's hilarious. I heard someone call it Shark Week one time because blood. We're talking about periods today. This one's for the ladies, although men, you are certainly not excluded if you want to hang around and you have women in your life and you'd like to get a little bit more intuition onto a very deep and personal subject for women that is inextricably linked with all women, then you are certainly invited to stick around. But if this subject makes you feel too uncomfortable, then feel free to click off and go enjoy something else with your day. But ladies, we're going to talk about periods today. And for me specifically, I am on my cycle right now and I am enjoying it. I'm going to say that again. I am enjoying being on my cycle right now. And I don't even say that from a place of neutrality, like, oh, it's fine, it's not bothering so much. I'm actually legitimately enjoying it, and it has been a process to get here, and from a deep level of conditioning that is sort of ubiquitous for women in every area of the world. I'm going to unpack that today and sort of try to help elevate us fellow women out of this idea that you should suffer through your cycle or it should be just something inherently unpleasant. Going into the history of it a little bit, back hundreds, thousands of years ago, and depending on where you were in the world in various tribes, women were often banished to either stay in the hut or stay in a special room or have to wear certain kind of special clothes. And they were deemed either unclean or just rendered helpless and not being able to function, or just having bad woo-woo energy that they needed to stay away from the group. And that level of shame, for as far as we've evolved as humans, that level of shame and sort of chastising, this monthly thing that all women go through up until menopause, has not been so far removed from our society, amazingly enough. Well, maybe some women have progressed to the point where they don't feel shame or embarrassment around it, although very many still do. It's something that's seen as negative. Oh, bummer, I'm on my cycle. Oh, I'm gonna start my period soon. And yes, of course, I know the laundry list of inconveniences that can come with it, whether it's mild pain or severe pain or nausea or losing your appetite or having way too much of an appetite and all of a sudden that entire chocolate cake disappears, to being very emotional, whether it's crying over a simple thing or blowing up and horns growing out of your head for a somewhat simple thing as well, to just feeling tired and lethargic. And I know some women do have certain medical, I don't want to call them medical conditions, because I do think that the body can heal from everything if you give it the proper time and care and attention, and even take on the mindset that your body can heal from everything versus being just having this belief system that you will have something forever. But I do know that a cycle can be incredibly painful for some women, and I'm not skirting over that or negating that or saying that that's not true or not happening or not a valid source of distress for a lot of women. But what I do want to go into today is that just this overwhelming negative connotation that we have with I use the word cycle, by the way, because the word period, I mean, I understand where the etymology of it came from. It's, the ending of your cycle, but I am a big believer in the energy behind words because everything is carrying energy, and period just sounds harsh to me, and that's what we're addressing today. There's this harsh energy around our monthly cycle, and it's thus something to be avoided or negated or just dreaded every month. And to me, there's much more of a softness around the word cycle, and it makes more sense because it's a cycle, right? It's every month. It's not something just one and done, right? So I prefer the term cycle, but you can call it whatever you like. But I would like to invite you to hang out with me today and explore how you can maybe flip your mindset on your monthly cycle not being something to be dreaded or hated or embarrassed about or ashamed of or just all around wanting to avoid with things like birth controls that completely stop your cycle, I invite you to open your mind to the fact that it could actually be something enjoyable. So starting at the very beginning, going off of what I was saying earlier, how many women were shamed or excluded from the group while they were on their cycle. As we've gotten more into modern times, that shame has sort of fallen away a little bit, but there's still an overwhelming sense of nuisance. You don't hear women saying, I'm stoked to be on my cycle this month. It is just not something you hear ever, and it's certainly not something I ever thought of. And with the advancements of technologies, there was birth control, which, yes, it has its pluses, but for me personally, taking birth control from age 23 to 27, it made me nothing short of psychotic and actually did send me into pretty severe psychosis. That's a whole other video, but we are just massively sold this idea from the pharmaceutical industry that as soon as you're sexually active, or even if you're a teenager not sexually active, but oh God forbid you have a pimple, here, take these sex steroids, and completely, that's what starts the disconnect from our body, and that's what kind of ingrains this mentality of cycle equals bad. Period, the rag, Shark Week, is a bad thing. It's this horrible burden that I have to take on as a woman. And yes, again, I know there are inconveniences such as pain or tiredness, lethargy, or even, we've all been there where you've bled through on your underwear and you're like, Jesus Christ, I'm 30 years old and I just bled through onto my pants. How have I not figured this out yet? I've been there. Yes, those things are real, but there's a bigger picture of what's happening, and it is actually beautiful if we could choose to see it this way. But again, we're indoctrinated from very young ages by this pharmaceutical industry and by society to see our cycles, this gift we have as women, as something that needs to be shunned and given medication for, to just completely either disconnect ourselves from it or minimize it. Or a lot of birth controls, I've seen commercials for it. Maybe it's like Yasmin or one of those, and it literally said, why should you even have to have a period? Like, what a bother, what a nuisance. With this special birth control, you'll just never get a period. With a lot of IUDs, you just never get a period. And at first sight, or at first kind of hearing of that, you'd be like, oh great, I don't have to deal with cramps or bloating or whatever, and all the other inconveniences that can come along with it. But to me, I think that's really egregious, and it's this complete sabotaging of something that is very, very unique and powerful to womanhood. And so it was a journey for me to come to this point. Absolutely. I was indoctrinated the same way as every other woman, where I saw my period as a nuisance, or at the very least, because I never had too horrible of cramps. And for the past 10 years, when I took dairy out of my diet, when I went vegan, I have another video on that if you're interested, my period became very light, and it's on the easier end of the spectrum. But it was certainly never something I celebrated, and I certainly did, like, you wake up like, oh, damn, I bled on my sheets. Like, oh, what an awful thing to have a period. I absolutely was of that mindset, but it's been in the last couple years, and I actually had a friend say something to me that was a sort of catalyst. But it's been in tandem with some consciousness shifting that I've been having as far as wanting to get into deeper touch with my own femininity and what it means to be a woman, that I've sort of come to this place of not just neutrality, of acceptance of like, okay, yeah, it's my period, but actually celebrating it. So I've come up with a list, and this is certainly not a extensive list. I think there's a lot more to it, but for the sake of keeping this video digestible, I've come up with 4 things that I think are really beautiful benefits of having your cycle every month as a woman. And so I'm going to talk about those. So what are they? Number 1, it invites you, it is an invitation to slow down. If you've watched any of my other videos on my channel, you know that I am a big fan of slow living, and slow living doesn't necessarily mean negating all ambition or hopes or desires. It just means negating the bullshit out of your life, the busy work, the distractions, the filling your time with things that you don't really need to be doing. And we've all been there on your cycle when your energy, it will dip. And sometimes it's not particularly on your cycle. For me, it's usually the week before where I'm just tired. And in my younger years, and especially as I was a high-level athlete, taking a day off because you were tired was not a thing. But now as a grown woman with autonomy over my life, yes, I've never really call out of work, but I will do things like, if I don't feel good, I'll not do a workout that day, and that's okay. Or I won't go out with friends, or I won't even do that extra activity, or I have a sort of project I was planning for that day, and I will let myself just rest instead if my body is calling for it. Slow living is an opportunity to come back to center, to come back to rest, and rest is so, so important. Life is always a dance of doing and being, and when you are in your cycle as a woman, it can very much feel like, oh, I need to get all this stuff done, but now my cycle is in the way, my evil period's in the way. Well, get done the essential things you need to get done, like you probably need to feed your children or go to work or finish some sort of school presentation, sure, but there are things that you can take a break from that are not mandatory in your life, and we'll all have different lists, but you know what they are. Take a step back from those things that aren't mandatory and let yourself just veg, let yourself lay down, maybe get a massage or take a bubble bath or go on a really slow meditative walk or just sit in nature, do kind, self-nurturing things, and your body will thank you for this, and it is a good reset. So your cycle coming along, that dip in energy, it's not a defect. It's not your body wrong in that moment. It's your body saying, okay, you do a lot as a woman in this modern world. Here's an opportunity. I'm going to make you slow down, and this is going to be medicine for you to slow down in this moment. So the next time you're on your cycle, perhaps you can find those moments where you feel like, man, I wish I could just rest, and well, rest. Again, there will be mandatory things you have to do, but in those moments where you find something is not mandatory, put down the proverbial pencil, if you will, and let yourself rest and nurture yourself and honor what your body is asking for you, and that is a beautiful thing. Number 2, it will connect you into your body. As I was saying earlier, so many women are just put on birth control without any thought to it, and I know that's a heated topic because not everyone wants to have a bunch of children at any time, and if they're in a committed relationship, yes, you have to take precautions and whatnot, and that's a separate video. But for me personally, as I said, I think there are a lot of pernicious aspects of birth control, and not only there's so much research on really scary health things like breast cancer coming out of these pharmaceuticals that we are shoving down our throats for years and even decades on end. Well, the fundamental thing it is doing, it is shutting off your natural biology as a woman. It is natural to have a cycle in your cycle producing years. It is natural to bleed every month. It is natural to ovulate every month. And one of the great ironies of birth control is it stops you from ovulating. And people often go on birth control so they can have sex liberally, but then when you're shut off your ovulation as a woman, your sex drive goes pew. So it's kind of like, what's the point? But again, we'll stay focused on the topic here. When you are shutting down the natural hormones of your body and the natural biology of your body, and a very female specific biology, hormones in your body, you can become very, very disconnected from your body and your sensuality as a woman, your power as a woman, your emotion as a woman, your intuition as a woman, your true feelings as a woman. Birth control can often heighten feelings and make them too hysterical to where that's not actual truth. For me, that was certainly the case when I was on birth control. The weeks before my period, I would get legitimately psychotic and blow up and not be able to control my emotions, when that actually wasn't the truth of who I was, because when I stopped taking birth control, that mellowed out completely. I was being chemically altered. But on the flip side of it, it can also numb you out and disconnect you from really healthy emotions. It is healthy to have emotions, especially as women. We can be very fragile, delicate, sensitive creatures, but we can also be fierce creatures, and that whole spectrum is wonderful and beautiful and part of being a woman. But if you are disconnected from the fundamental thing that makes you a woman, you can really be disconnected from who you are as a person and how to authentically express yourself in the world and have the deepest connections that you can have with other humans, and the deepest connection with life that you can have as a human. But when you, and even if you aren't on birth control or you don't feel like it's altering you that much, the mindset of it being a nuisance and something to be avoided or something you just can't wait till it's over, that already is inherently a disconnect. But if you approach it as, rather than a nuisance, but as a gift, an opportunity to feel into your body. And yes, even if you're having cramps, I don't see pain can be a teacher. I don't see cramps as, oh, I need to take an Advil so I don't feel this pain. No, cramps are a wonderful way to feel grounded. If you have anxiety or flighty tendencies or panic, which a lot of women do struggle with for many different reasons. Again, that's a whole other video. But if you feeling into your body and feeling cramps in your physical, your center, that is your whole center as a woman, that is a really beautiful way to feel grounded, to feel connected to the earth, to feel held into the earth, and to feel into your body. And yes, it's pain, but if you remove the judgment of this pain is bad, but this pain is just my body doing what it's supposed to be, then it's an entirely different mindset and it's an entirely different experience. And as I've been tuning into, I really don't get that heavy of cramps, but sometimes you feel that pressure. It is a very weighting feeling, but it's a calm weighting feeling, almost like the like a weighted blanket, or like those weighted tight vests they put on dogs that have anxiety. If you change your mindset on it and really feel into it, it's Mother Earth holding you into her in a really beautiful, safe way, and you can feel into your body. If you're numb in your body and never feeling pain because you're downing painkillers all the time, you are going to disconnect from your body and the messages that your body has for you. The body is always trying to communicate. And when you, on the flip side, if you're feeling into these cramps and the sensation or the pain, the pressure, even bloating, you are connecting to your body and connecting back to the only thing you truly have is your body. And this very special feminine energy, when you connect into it, it can just reconnect you to what you have, the gift of your body, and start to feel into, if you have other ailments going on or aches and pains going on, those are alarm systems too, of things that need attention in your life. They aren't just nuisances. They're things that need attention, whether it is a diet overhaul, a lifestyle overhaul, a relationship overhaul, a job overhaul, a passion and purpose overhaul, a spiritual overhaul. Oftentimes it is a combination of one or all of those things. When you are connected into your body, it's so much easier to see those things in your life that do need attention, where you do want to give more care to, where you do maybe need to take a step back to. And so you're feeling this very specific female sensation is a very strong opportunity to do that. Moving on to number 3, stemming off of that, it is a connection to the divine. This life force energy coming through you, through your cycle, this is how we make life on earth, and it is incredible and beautiful. And even if you don't have children or don't plan on having children, it still is the same life force energy coming through you. And this is divine energy. This is spiritual energy. Doesn't matter what your spiritual beliefs are or are not. You cannot deny the fact that a cycle is the fundamental source of life. And yes, we need men to create life too. I'm not a feminist in that I think women are better than men. No, I'm an equalist. We both have magical power to bring to this earth. But that's a whole nother video as well. But there is no scientific getting around the fact that a woman's cycle is what's needed to create life, and a woman is the one who carries life. And again, I myself, I don't have children, and I don't plan on having children, but still, this magical divine energy is coming through me every month, and that is an incredible way to tune into your spiritual connection. And this is something that I've found the most power in as I've been exploring these ideas of getting in touch with my deeper femininity and my deep feminine power that I think has been suppressed for so much of my life. I found just sitting and meditating on my cycle and connecting to that energy that is coming through me. Again, you can go have all the degrees you want and do all the reading and intellect that you want and self-improvement that you want, blah, 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 blah. Nothing can change the fact that your body's doing this on its own, and that's pretty magical. Your body is giving this life force, the divine, cosmic, spiritual, deep, creative energy is coming through you on its own, and that's a gift. And when it's sort of like you hear about in the like new age space that there's certain times of the year, like during an eclipse, or certain places like energy vortexes like Big Sur, or other area like Sedona, other areas around the world where the veil is thin. I feel like when you are on your cycle as a woman, the veil is thin. That cosmic energy, that life force, that ability to create and carry life, we are connected to something so much bigger than us when you are on your cycle. And that's what's really flipped me to start looking forward to my cycle in a way that I never thought I could have ever in years past. And just sitting and meditating with it and connecting to that energy, it is a powerful, powerful thing. We create and carry lives in us as women, and that is incredible, and it is a miracle. It is nothing shy of a miracle. Again, for everything we have as invented as humans, and we think, oh, all these amazing drugs, or we put people on the moon, or build this skyscraper. We didn't invent procreation. Think about that. Yes, we are active participants in it, but we didn't invent it. There is a bigger divine cosmic play coming through us. And if you take off the lenses of my cycle is this demon, but look at it for the miracle that is, and sit in and feel yourself grounded in that energy. Feel the divine cosmic energy that is way older than you coming through you, and that life potential, that dark feminine energy to create. It's a really magical thing, and I have had some incredibly transformative, I don't even want to minimize it by putting words on it, because it's a ethereal, spiritual feeling that I've had tuning into that energy, and I now look forward to having communion with it each cycle. It's a really incredible thing, and I invite you to try doing that, try tapping into that, which leads me to the last point of tuning in, opportunity for your cycle, and that is creative energy. This stems off of what I was just saying, where your life force energy, your ability to create and carry a human life and bring that miracle into the world, that is the direct connection to it. It is also, creativity is everywhere, and as women, all humans are creators, and everyone has something beautiful and magical to express in the world. But again, biologically, we are different, and we have different gifts, and as women, that creative energy to give birth to something you can give birth in many other avenues in your life, as well as whether it is an artist by the traditional sense of you're a painter or a violinist or a composer or a writer, a poet. You can be an artist in the way that you parent. You can be an artist in the way that you garden. You can be an artist in the way that you're just kind to others. You can be an artist, and even if you're in the most black and white seeming like you're a Wall Street stockbroker, you can be an artist in how you create a presentation that you give to someone, or how you predict what type of things to invest in. I mean, that's not the best example because I know nothing of the stock market, but you catch my drift. You can be an artist in any way in life, and it's really just about tuning. You're the best artist when you're your most authentic, and when you are open to something deeper than you coming through you, and that's that same divine, feminine, creative energy. And if you tune into that thin veil that is available when you're on your cycle, the truth can start to come through, and true co-creation comes through of your own desires and passions and interests, coupled with this divine creative flow energy that creates life. It can give birth to any sort of creation in life, whether it's a painting or a presentation, or just the way how you show up, how you walk down the street, and the energy that you are emanating. This is a wonderful and beautiful thing. And for me, I've been starting to experience some really intense transformation by just sitting with my cycle, and again, feeling the groundedness of it, slowing down to be able to feel the groundedness of that, connecting to this divine source energy, and then letting it show up in creativity in my life, and letting the truth of who I am and the truth of what wants to be expressed through me come through, because oftentimes we can get stuck in our ego and think of, I should be doing this, 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 and this. But if you slow down and tune into that cosmic energy, what your heart wants, what your soul wants, and what the divine wants to express through you will start to come through you in a really beautiful and powerful way. Okay, that is the video for today. Thank you, ladies, for hanging out, and any men who were brave enough to witness this conversation. I congratulate you for having an open mind and open heart to understand the women that are in your life. Ladies, I hope this resonated. This is a little bit different than the content that I typically do, but this has been speaking to my heart and has been wanting to be expressed through me. So I hope some things here resonated with you, and please let me know if you are game to try this experiment of not just neutralizing your cycle, but really embracing it and looking forward to it every month as a spiritual gift and an opportunity to explore these things I just talked about. Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and all humans. Have a beautiful day. I will talk to you again in the next video. Bye.